Alright, Adamantarx here. My small but very loyal following of fans on YouTube have been asking me to make another video. It's mid-semester, which means I'm pretty busy at work, so I decided to make a short and sweet video on something that I realized that I hadn't made one on before, although I'm sure you can find this video on other YouTube channels by other people. But people apparently like me to do the videos, my fans at least. So here I am in that Adamantarx voice that everybody apparently likes. It's kind of funny, there's a story behind that voice. I often do these videos late at night, so I'm trying to keep my voice down so I don't disturb my wife and whatever it is that she is up to, and often sleeping. So that means I tend to speak in slightly more hushed tones than I might normally speak. But apparently that became a thing for people and they like it, so why not? Anyway, today's topic is caving, also known as spelunking, and how to do it successfully in Minecraft. First of all, let's sleep so we can get to a nearby cave pretty quickly. I spotted a cave, but I never went in it, so I'm not sure if it'll be a big cave or not. It doesn't matter for purposes of this tutorial. So you're going to need some things to do this. So let's walk through those first. So welcome to my vault, by the way. This is a relatively new world that I have been playing, and I really enjoy the survival part of the game. And I often start over and make new bases. So I've been playing in this world probably about 15 hours, give or take. Even though you can build chests beside one another, I still like the old school way of doing it because it leaves room for item frames. And I just think it looks better to separate them out, but that's just me. Anyway, so we're going to need some things. I've already collected most if not all of them. So let's just go to the inventory here. The first thing you want to get that you're going to need, if this is an extensive cave system, is some kind of wood. Obviously, its most compact form is just to be stored as logs, right? So if you have that tree farm up and running, you can easily go and get the wood you need. About half a stack will work fine. As you can see, we have 28. That'll be more than we need. The reason you're bringing that along is to make torches. Now we're going to go in with about a stack and a half to 2 stacks of torches. But if it's a very extensive cave system, and cave systems can surprise you, then you're going to need more than that. You're going to run out of torches, and you want to get torches down as quickly as possible. So you'll have plenty of coal that you can mine out as you go through the cave. What you're not going to find a lot of is wood, unless you're lucky enough to run into an abandoned mine shaft. We're going to assume that you're not going to be that lucky, and it's just a normal cave. In which case, we can make plenty of torch wood out of those dark oak logs, and the cave will provide the coal. But we're going to bring a stack and a half with us just to get started. Right here, we have some smooth stone. That's the next ingredient. You may not have a silk touch pick up and running. Fortunately, I do. You may not want to throw all of these into a furnace. That's understandable too. So this isn't absolutely necessary, but it's just helpful if you mine out an area in a floor and it's a narrow cave and that's the only way to get up to that next passage. You may want to smooth that floor back out or replace that coal or with good smooth stone flooring. But anything will do. Quartz will work fine. Excuse me, not quartz, I'm tired. Granite will work fine. I don't recommend using quartz. You could. Any of the mineral type stones, granite, andesite, or for that matter, diorite will work fine. Any of these will do great. I don't recommend using cobblestone for that purpose, and I'll get to why that is in a moment. Right now, actually, we're going to bring along some cobblestone. That's going to act as a wall that we recognize as acting as a wall to section off the cave into parts. If it turns out being a really big, if it turns out being a very big cave, there may be times there's just a really big area that you haven't gotten to yet. You don't really want to mine it out. You don't want to go into it at all. It's dark. Maybe you don't have enough torches. You need to craft more torches. You need to get some more equipment. This happens. But at the same time, you don't want to just leave it there. So what you can do is wall it off. And cobblestone, since it's not naturally occurring, is a good way to remind yourself that you put that wall there. I'll show you how that works. Oh, we got a little friend. See him around the corner? Oh yeah, marksmanship there, buddy. Creepers hide around corners. So the rule of thumb here is actually a two-part rule of thumb, and it's really simple. Torch in, mine out. Torch your way into a cave, or in this case, back out of a cave. Mine your way back out. Now, once upon a time, a few years ago, if I were making this tutorial, I would tell you that we almost don't really have to light this room up as long as there's no surfaces where mobs can spawn, because they won't spawn in water, but that's actually not true anymore. The water zombies can actually spawn in here in this water. So I'm going to light that up just like everything else. So I'm torching my way in. Now oftentimes you'll run into these water flows. That's good and bad. That means that creepers and other hostile mobs aren't really going to spawn through here. But it also means you're going to go slower when you're torching things out. This turned out to be a very small cave, which is fine since we're making a short video. But this method works fine regardless of the size of the cave. So what we've done is we've torched out this entire, admittedly small cave system. I'm going to over torch it because that's what I do. I like things to be extremely well lit. I also recommend playing with when you're in a cave or any hostile type area, I recommend playing with the brightness level of Moody, the lowest brightness level there is. That way, you know that if it's well lit on Moody, you're safe. Playing it on max brightness, for example, can give you a false sense of security. You think an area is well lit, it's not, and that creeper spawns in an area which you thought was perfectly well lit. There are times to adjust that brightness. For example, if you're working underwater. But this is not one of those times. So as you can see, we brought plenty of torches. We didn't run out of torches. However, let's pretend that we did. That's where these other materials come into play. Oh, you'll also notice that I brought a bed with me. That was largely because let's say that we've dug out this cave. The cave does not emerge directly in my base. And you know, there's all this area between me and my base. And I want to get back to my base. Well, let's say that it's just the beginning of nighttime. Now I have to wait on night to pass. What I could do Let's just go back into the cave where it's safe, because this has become a type of base, really. Throw down a bed and sleep in it, let night pass, and now I can get back to my real base in no time. Speaking of this being a temporary base, that's exactly what we can do. One reason for this dark oak log is to give us torches, right? But a secondary and equally useful reason is that we can set up a makeshift on the fly base as we need to. I've already made one of those. Being deliberate and slow here. There we go. Or put down a bed. And the cobblestone, and a secondary reason for that is to make a furnace. Once you get some coal, now you have a functioning little mini base. Of course, you can make that chest bigger. You can make multiple chests. You can do whatever you need to do. It's not hard. Now, here's a good application for this cobblestone while we're thinking about it. Here's a cave opening. As you can see, the sky is darkening, the sun is going down. I may not want to leave this open to the night sky while I'm doing my business in the cave. I might want to work in this cave overnight, for example. So I'm going to wall this off with cobblestone. Now imagine for a moment if I had walled this off in smooth stone or dirt, or even something like granite or diorite. If I had done that, then this might be, and likely would be, indistinguishable from the natural wall of the cave, since those are naturally occurring blocks. Then I wouldn't at a glance be able to recognize this as my artificially placed wall. Cobblestone is good because, generally speaking, it's not naturally occurring. So when I see a cobblestone wall in the middle of a cave like this, I know that it's mine. Of course, for my contrarians out there, the exception is if there's a dungeon, right? But obviously there's no green mossy stone, and generally these occur at lower depths. So we know this is mine. If I wanted to, later on I could even throw a door in there. Like an iron door, but that's not what I'm going for here. I'm just wanting to wall that off. I can do the same for sections of a cave. So let's say that this was a much bigger cave. Let's pretend that this part of the cave, here we go, here's a good example. Now we're all safe. Let's pretend that that this was a leg of the cave that was not lit. And we're just looking down it, and it's dark and it's creepery. It's bad news. What I could do is, if I'm not ready to explore that section of the cave, maybe it actually leads to an extensive section, and I just don't have the resources or the time or the will to explore it, I can wall that off. What that signals to me, what that says to me, is that there's basically danger on the other side of this cobblestone. And it walls out the monsters so that I have my own brightly lit little microverse here on the other side. So I don't have to worry about mobs and creepers and such. There's a good example. That nighttime environment is kind of the same situation, right? There are going to be mobs out there. I don't want to deal with them right now. So I'm going to wall that off. I believe that I have walled off all of this. So we're safe. We can work now. We can focus. Which is where our next item comes in. We have a Fortune 3 pick. Any Fortune pick will be helpful, but Fortune 3 is best. And I can go through. I can get all the coal that I want to get out of this cave. And I can take my sweet time doing it. There's some here too. I can take my sweet time with the full knowledge that I'm not going to get attacked by a mob. As you can see, this method works. Other than when we first entered the cave and ran into a few mobs, we haven't really run into any mobs in the depths of this cave. I'm not saying you won't. I'm not saying this method's perfectly foolproof. Of course, it isn't. But fighting mobs is also part of the fun. What this method does is it helps you prevent having to fight mobs when you don't want to fight mobs, aka while you are mining. Now here's a good example right here of a time that I may want to smooth out a floor. I don't want to constantly have to go by this and risk falling in, right? How am I here, right? That happens sometimes, especially if you're coming downward. I just think I'm running there, and I'm in a hole. I'm just going to go ahead and fill it in, right? There we go. Now, I like to bring along a silk touch pick. That way, if I run out of smooth stone, I can just do that. I also like to smooth my caves out. When I'm in a cave, I like to make it. I don't like to lose the natural beauty of the cave necessarily, the natural randomness of it. But at times I do like to smooth out some corners, especially near my base area that I've made for myself. That just makes it a little bit easier and streamlined for navigation, right? At the same time, if I have a silk touch pick, that lets me pick up a little bit of extra smooth stone, essentially for doing the opposite, for filling in places that I may want to fill in, right? And so I make this cave my own. You could even turn it into a real base if you wanted. And that's that. From there, I would just go through this cave and just mine it out. And that's what I would do to let time pass so that it's daytime when I want to leave. However, if I want, I do have this bed. I can set that up. I can sleep in it. Oh, another handy little trick while we're at it. I'm going to destroy this bed now. What that means is that if I die, and I have full diamond armor, chances are I'm not. But if I do die, I will respawn at the world spawn, the default spawning location. I built my base so that world spawn was inside of my base. That yields several benefits, one of which is if I die, I spawn in my base no matter what. Now, if you're playing on a large multiplayer server, you may not have that option. But I have a small server, my private server, so I do have that option. So, anyway, that's that. That's all there is to it. If you follow this method, you will do a great job in relative safety mining out these caves and getting all the good ore and materials that you need. Was there anything else I wanted to add about caves? I suppose there is one more thing. You may have noticed this. It's hard to see with this smaller cave system. Notice that caves have a natural curvature to them. They tend to either spiral upward or spiral downward. See how it spirals? Usually narrowing down as they go. They're usually widest in the middle. Right. So what that means is that generally you're going to have several different branches where you're just either spiraling your way up or down, torching it out. You can usually kind of tell where a cave's going to end based on how far around it's spiraled and based on how narrow it gets. So yeah, that's that, my friends. That's how you do caving. This has turned out to be a very simple example, which I suppose for purposes of this video is fine. But this same method will work on any cave, so give it a shot if you haven't already. And in the meantime, I wish you the best, and I wish you happy Minecrafting.